Okay, let's dive into one of the biggest questions out there right now. Is AI going to take our jobs? The debate is absolutely raging, and you've got tech titans basically at war over this. But here's the thing. While they're all arguing about this massive storm on the horizon, we're going to talk about this crazy, unexpected lifeboat that just kind of washed up on shore. And it might just be the blueprint for, well, for all of us.
I mean, look at this. It really doesn't get more black and white. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, you had these two giants saying the exact opposite thing. On one side, you've got Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, the guy literally making the chips that power this whole revolution. And he's all optimism, chanting jobs, jobs, jobs. And then in the other corner, Alex Karp from Palantir. And his message is, well, it's a lot darker. He says AI will destroy jobs. So who are we supposed to believe here?
Well, if you look at the data for a second, the concern feels pretty real. The World Economic Forum itself, the same folks hosting that debate, they're projecting 92 million jobs will be displaced by 2030. Just let that number sink in. 92 million. That's not just a number, that's a potential tsunami about to hit the global workforce. But, and this is a big but, the story is more complex than just.
See, what's really going on here is something much deeper. It's not just that jobs are disappearing, it's that the very nature of work is changing. AI is getting incredibly good at all the predictable, repetitive stuff, the things you can neatly track in a spreadsheet. So what's left for us humans? All the high-impact, strategic, messy, creative work. And here's the catch, how in the world do you measure that? It's way, way harder, and it's creating a totally new kind of pressure on all of us. Look, we've all heard the robots are coming story before, right? From factory arms to Excel macros, we've seen automation. But this is not that. Something is fundamentally different this time around. We're moving from simple automation, which is really just a tool following a script, to genuine autonomy. We're talking about systems that can actually think, plan, and act all on their own. And the name for this new game is agentic AI. And you really need to get this distinction because it's a big one. This isn't just a smarter chatbot. No. We are talking about full-on virtual employees. Literally. Imagine a digital team member that has its own role, its own memory of past projects. It even has its own company login and password to get work done, all without a human pulling the strings. Wild, right? So what does one of these virtual employees actually look like under the hood? Well, Singapore actually put out the world's first rulebook for AI agents, and it breaks it down perfectly. You've got the model, which is basically its brain. You give it instructions, that's its job description. It has memory, so it can learn from experience. It has planning and reasoning to figure out a strategy. It has tools, the apps it can use. And it has protocols, which is how it talks to us and other AIs. You combine all that, and boom, you've got a digital work. So is this just some sci-fi concept, or is it affecting the job market like right now? Oh, it's here, and it is absolutely explosive. Get this, demand for roles that require AI agent skills has skyrocketed by over 1,500%. That's not a slow trend, that's a rocket launch, completely reshaping what companies are desperately trying to hire for as we speak.
Okay, so the job market is going through this massive warp speed change. World leaders are at Davos debating what to do about the coming storm. But while they're all talking, a tiny little island seems to have stumbled, completely by accident, onto the lifeboat. This is the canary in the coal mine, and you have got to hear the story.
That lifeboat? It's a small island in the Caribbean called Anguilla. We're talking a population of just about 15,000 people. Super small. For pretty much its entire history, its economy was all about tourism. Sun, sand, you got the picture. But then a random bit of internet paperwork from back in the 90s ended up changing their entire destiny.
So, way back when the internet was being carved up, every country got a 2-letter domain code, while Anguilla was assigned .ai. For decades, this was kind of useless. Who cared? But then the AI explosion hit, and all of a sudden, every tech startup, every AI company in the world wanted those 2 letters. And the result? Just look at this, $32 million in revenue in 2023 on its way to a projected $70 million in 2025. It is a straight-up exponential windfall. And to really wrap your head around how insane this is, that money from just selling a domain name with 2 little letters is on track to pay for almost half of their entire government budget. This isn't just a nice little side hustle for them. It's a true digital dividend that's rewriting their entire national economy.
And the best part is, they're not just going on a spending spree. They're being incredibly smart about this. They're pouring it back into the country, expanding the airport, fixing roads, giving people tax breaks, and funding healthcare for seniors and kids. And this is the really brilliant part. They're starting a sovereign wealth fund. They're making sure this isn't just a one-time boom, but something that provides for their people for generations to come. So yeah, it's an incredible story. But it's so much more than just one country winning the lottery. What happened in Anguilla, totally by accident, might actually be the blueprint for all of us, a model for how the entire world can navigate the AI disruption, and maybe, just maybe, a way to make AI pay its own way.
And this isn't some crazy out there idea. You've got people like Bill Gates talking about this very thing. His point is, look, AI is going to make our economies way more productive, but it's also going to cause disruption. So we've got to figure out new ways to fund our social safety nets. He even floated the idea of, taxing AI activities to help fund that transition for workers.
And all of this talk inevitably leads to one big idea, something that used to be on the fringe, but is now front and center. Universal Basic Income, or UBI. The concept is pretty simple. A regular, guaranteed payment sent to every citizen, no strings attached. It's meant to be an economic floor, right? A safety net for a future where a traditional 9-to-5 job might not be the norm for everyone. So let's scale up the Anguilla model. This is where it gets really mind-bending. In the near future, we're not talking about thousands of AI agents. We're talking trillions. And every single one of those agents is going to need a unique digital identity to operate online. Think of it like a digital passport. Now imagine selling those identities, just like Anguilla sells .ai domains. The revenue would be astronomical. And here's the key. This isn't a tax, it's a digital dividend from the infrastructure AI has to use to exist. That could be how you fund a global UBI.
So the very digital roads that AI needs to drive on could pay for the safety nets we need. It's elegant. But we have to step back for a second and remember something absolutely fundamental here. It is so easy to talk about AI like it's some alien species that just landed on Earth. But it's not. It didn't build the world it operates in. We did.
We built the internet. We wrote the protocols. We designed the whole domain name system. We built what one source calls the digital cradle, the entire playground where AI was born and raised. And what did it learn in that cradle? It learned from us. From all our languages, our books, our art, the entire sum of human knowledge and culture that we poured into this system. That's its source code. And that brings us to right now, to this massive crossroads, and there are really two clear paths ahead of us. Down one road, you have this cyberpunk future. The aesthetic, displacement, social fracture, where all the incredible gains from AI are hoarded by a tiny few. But there's another path, the solarpunk future, one of supercharged progress, of harmony between humans and AI, where all this new abundance is actually shared with everyone. So how will we know when an AI is actually ready for that kind of partnership? Well, here's a fascinating idea for a final exam. Forget beating us at chess. The ultimate test for a mature AGI should be this. Can it take responsible stewardship over the very system it grew up in? Let it run its own part of the internet's domain name system. If it can handle that without breaking everything, well, then maybe it's passed the test.
Because in the end, that's what this all comes down to. The choice is ours. We have the power here. We're the ones setting the rules of the road. We built the digital cradle that gave birth to this incredible technology. So the only question left, the one that really matters, is what kind of future are we going to build with it?